And just like that, we're straight back in it. As up next, it's going to be Av3k versus k1llsen here for our latest edition of the Quake Pro League. Kind of off to a strong start, I think, Flea, off the back of Maxter's success and looking in tip-top shape. And I think when you look at players that are at that level, kind of look no further than the two players we have before us right now, right?
Oh, absolutely. These two gentlemen are bound to put up a show. Like, this could have been a featured matchup at the end of the day with DJ Wheat, right? This is one of the best games that we've got in store for us today. On the one hand, you've got k1llsen, who at this point is the undisputed #1 in the Quake Pro League. He finished first in the weeklies in the overall standings last season, and then he also got himself the belt during the finals. So k1llsen, absolutely phenomenal performance so far. I believe he only lost once in the entirety of the previous stage in the weeklies, and that was against Wenger, so this man is out for blood. And then on the other hand, you've got Av3k, a player who's also capable of greatness. He came in 3rd place in the overall standings last season. Top 12, I believe, during the finals, so perhaps a little underperformance on his. I think a lot of people were expecting a bit more, but then again, he also had to go up against the likes of Razy rather early on. But still, Av3k versus k1llsen, this is going to be fireworks.
It's the kind of matchup that everyone's just always excited to see, and for good reason. You have two of the best players that are out there and able to perform. Av3k, yeah, didn't quite get the result that he was fully looking for as we concluded things last year, but then on the opposite end of that, you have someone that very much did in k1llsen's shoes. So as soon as we have those picks and bans, we'll have a look at them and see what our journey's going to be. And let's just kind of break this one down. The return of Molten Falls once again. Anarchy taken away instantly, as it will be Slash versus Nyx. Corrupted Keep with the Strog taken away. So I think there's this emphasis on just get rid of the movement, get rid of that mobility that prevents people from just being able to play the game they want to play, right? And then Ruins of Sarnath to finish things off. Kind of dynamic change between the two. You know, you've got that Sorlag, you've got the k1llsen, and then the k1llsen was taken away. As, to be fair, it's a champion that Av3k has been quite consistent with, one of his favourite champions to use, and the results have often spoken for themselves. So potentially a bit of a personal ban there, as you have the k1llsen, I want utility and you're not allowed any. Yeah, that's just how the cookie crumbles in this level of play. Know your enemy, as they say. But Molten Falls, straight away, it's the Slash I think we're really keeping a keen eye on here, let alone under the wheels of k1llsen, who is thoroughly scary using that kind of champion. So I'm excited to see that.
Now, Av3k also shared some insight into his own picks and bans on YouTube. He's doing a video series together with Wenger talking about predictions for each week. So if you're interested in that, definitely check it out. But one of the things that Av3k said that I thought was very interesting is that he kind of just went with unorthodox and unpredictable picks because he knows that he is up against k1llsen. He is facing the #1, and he thinks that the best odds he has to win is to be unpredictable. Pick champions that might not really be in the meta, but that could take k1llsen by surprise. So for example, his Visor pick on Corrupted Keep, definitely not meta, and then that Sorlag on Ruins of Sarnath is also not something that he usually goes for. So Av3k is going into this with a very clear game plan, and that plan is to disrupt k1llsen.
And then you kind of echo that statement with the bans that k1llsen brought forward. You know, k1llsen was going with very by the book, almost personal bans on champions I think you were going to play that I'm going to remove. If it kind of turned out that Av3k wasn't really planning on using those champions anyway, it kind of just opened up those possibilities to be even more unpredictable, because it's unlikely that k1llsen was going to have that galaxy brain and ban something that wasn't expected, because what's the point? You know, why give that opportunity for someone to use what they know and what they love? So that's an extra dynamic that makes this Pro League so interesting and exciting. Is, hey, having that insight from Av3k just made me a lot more interested to watch how he plays in these maps to come. Because if you're able to execute at the highest level, as we've said many, many times, all of these players are able to do that. It's why they're in the Pro League in the first place. This is where I get really excited, because what kind of tricks does Av3k have in store with these picks? Both players are readying up. I think Av3k will be ready momentarily, so we'll jump straight into that first map. But k1llsen eternally forever streaming, right? And keeping up with the practice. Maybe isn't always, might not always be streaming Quake, might be streaming other games, but when it's time to practice and you're in Pro League season, that's where the Quake Champion streams really start to amplify. And that was kind of something that we saw before. We saw that all of last year. When you were looking at active players that were constantly streaming their practice, making content around their personal journey, their growth, whatever it is, k1llsen was kind of right up there as the number one. Like, he was always streaming, always doing something. If you want to watch this guy and kind of just digest the mind of what is now, the world champ, right? The one that has everything to play for and kind of the most to lose of everyone. Everyone's going to be gunning for that number one player. It's that one-stop shop to just check it out and see it for yourself.
Absolutely, and another player who's quite well known for that is Rafa, of course, right? Rafa also very frequently streams himself playing the game, provides good tips, insight, talks about why he makes certain decisions. So there's definitely some of the top players that constantly show their practice, and it also just illustrates just how much these players are practicing, how much they're on the grind. k1llsen has absolutely been putting in the work, and I'm excited to see what he can do this week. Last week, we already saw him take down Razy. 2-1 win, very big win. Basically a repeat of what we saw in the grand finals of the previous Quake World Championship. So let's see what he's capable of today.
Prediction time. I would actually say less for us and just more for the people that are watching, because there are two players before us that have quite sizable fan bases at this point. And I have brought this up because both players have now readied up, so we're going to be jumping into Molten Falls really within the next 30 seconds or so. But how do we think this one's going to go? I was looking at the champion picks from k1llsen, and it's like, you know what you're going to get with these. We're looking at that slash on that first map. But I ask you, Flea, how effective do you think this slight curveball of a champion rotation for Av3k is going to be here? Do you think it's going to be enough? I'm saying this purely on paper.
I think that Av3k is going to be able to get one map win. But generally speaking, k1llsen is going to walk away with the total victory. And I think that's also kind of something that the statistics show, Ketchup. They have played each other 8 times within the Quake Pro League, and k1llsen has won every single last one of them. So Av3k is fighting an uphill battle. If he wins, that would be the very first time in the history of the QPL that he takes down k1llsen. So I do think that the big German has got his number.
But I think at the same time, no one knows those stats better than the man himself. You look at those past results, and maybe that is one of the things that has inspired this unorthodox champion pick set that he's been able to go for here is, hey, look, I know better than anyone that I've not had the most success. Yo, look at k1llsen. There he is. There he is. He's now at the bottom. Lovely stuff.
Some good rails being exchanged to open things up with. Av3k landing the first bit of damage of the map, and this is such a slow start for these two fast champions. You've got Nyx, you've got Slash, a lot of mobility on both of them. And I think that Av3k's approaching this the right way. He knows that he is outsped, he's outmaneuvered. Playing this slowly, safely, going for the rails, and then capitalizing on any weakness with a Ghost Walk. That's how he wants to approach this.
Can't overstay your welcome too, and the defensive Ghost Walk instantly. Can often be seen as this get out of jail free card if that's how you wish to use it. But it is a one-time use. It's going to be some time until you have it again. And in this case, I love the way that Av3k is approaching this. As you said yourself, he knows that he's getting outsped, so he has to play the information game. He needs to pick these opportunities, lay these traps, but it's quite obvious, right? k1llsen knows that's clearly what's happening here, because as k1llsen's cycling around the map, he's basically never seeing him. Why am I not seeing him? Oh, of course, he's going to be waiting for me. So however this first frag goes, we're all keeping a keen eye on it. 2 minutes already done, k1llsen with a considerable stack advantage, but as we have seen, you play that spring a trap style of play, that is where you can undo these gigantic stack differences, and Av3k, just like that, opening with the LG, the rail, right as he gets caught off, and just like that, all of the items that k1llsen took, with the exception now of this heavy that he was able to take to stop the bleeding, undone. And I think that's not going to be the last time we see this level of patience from Av3k here. He's playing it so smart.
I've got to say, that was bold by k1llsen. Going up the bounce pad like that, brazen move. He landed a nice rocket, but Av3k was waiting for him. That LG into the railgun, very nice combo. So k1llsen, he's here to play. He is aggressive right now. Heavy's about to spawn. Doesn't even go for it. Just go as a bounce pad. With the super shot, he lands a whole lot of damage and then falls back onto the heavy. Very deliberate play by k1llsen, leaving the item up, knowing that he then has some resources to fall back on if he would take a lot of damage. That's a good rail from Av3k, just before he pops the Ghost Walk.
Now this LG is not going to be enough to save the day because k1llsen secures that first frag, but that was where the mobility made a huge difference. Just the speed of which k1llsen could put himself in that position near Mega to get that rail that just gets Av3k sweating, forces out the Ghost Walk, and then k1llsen will know from that point, all I need to do is finish the job. There's nothing left now that Av3k can use to retreat and escape. The scary thing is, now we have to look at the situation that's upon us, because now Av3k is in the wrong part of the map to compete with Stag. The Heavy's not up for another 20 seconds. The aggressive push on that jump pad, not necessarily get damage for k1llsen. k1llsen will take damage if he can, and that rail certainly helps. But now he knows there's no way on this earth Av3k is going to be able to contest for this Heavy. So that's a free pickup now, and now we can plan this next course of attack. Where is Av3k likely to retreat? Okay, 2 light health down there. We'll pick those, and he's likely going to be down there, so we're ready for the rail shot. Nice rail there from Av3k, though. 2 unreturned, okay. Some might say Av3k's in business here.
Now, the best thing for Av3k is that both of them are playing light champions right now. So even if k1llsen takes Mega, even if k1llsen takes Heavy, 1 rail is so much more effective on a light champion than it is against a Heavy, that 1 good shot basically equalizes those stacks and can do so much to just nullify the gain that k1llsen was getting out of those major items. So even though k1llsen's in control of the major items, he's got a good rotation going on, Av3k is in a position to counter that nicely by just landing 1, maybe 2 rails.
And having them unreturned, I know the Mega was taken afterwards, but just having that, Av3k knows my positioning is working well. I'm able to keep things really minuscule between them. However, perhaps I spoke too soon, as that 1 rail has started what could be a string of disaster. k1llsen, so healthy and so chunky. In this case, catches him by surprise, but now what do? k1llsen makes the read. I'm going to head towards Mega anyway, just in case you're there. But even if you're not, I know how weak you are. And I know that the Heavy is a million miles away. Now Av3k has to do something to stop the bleeding. It's like you said, the importance of these rails. The question is, can Av3k do the same thing again? Did he get away with those 2 rails at the start? These 2 are traded, and that's not good news for Av3k now. There is nothing to keep himself healthy. k1llsen, ready for that side. I mean, just taking the shot, why not? And it just so happens he's round the corner. We'll take those. And now Av3k has to start doing maybe a bit more proactive. But even that brings with it some risk, Flea, because now the Ghost Walk's been forced out again. It did result in a rail, though. And now as we go into this Heavy, it's still something that Av3k does not want to challenge. I've been watching this whole map from his point of view, and we know when these items are going to spawn. Of course he does, but is it a wise choice to cement yourself?
Av3k on the back foot, been that way for a while now. And k1llsen has just been so dominant. As you said yourself, Av3k just relegated to playing defensively, while k1llsen is just free roaming around the map. He's always the one who seems to be taking Av3k by surprise. His reads are on point, the aim is solid. Av3k struggling to find any way into this. That small armor will be up. It's gonna help out a lot. Don't think he'll be on time to contest for Mega. Probably doesn't even want to. But an exit rail right here, that would be huge. Oh, k1llsen's so aware. The tiny little double back at the end, just before going through the teleporter, he knew that Av3k was up there.
That was one of the worst trades you could ever hope for. I hit you with 2 bits of LG, you hit me with a full rail. Would like to return this, please. I still have the receipt. 2.5 minutes left to go. as k1llsen leading this charge comfortably and now kind of doing what Av3k was trying to do first. It is now, in fact, k1llsen that has those angles, is waiting for Av3k to advance. But in this case, he's hitting the damage and he's got the stack advantage. So this is looking rather brutal for poor old Av3k. I truthfully do not know what he can do to bring himself back here. 2 minutes left to go now. Your opponent has taken pretty much every item in the game, and Av3k has not been able to establish himself on any of them, even when he's present. Maybe near the super shotgun, near the heavy. He's trying to pepper down some rockets. It just doesn't do enough to prevent k1llsen from inevitably taking it, and in a lot of cases doing damage that forces Av3k to retreat. Puts himself towards the Mega, unfortunately with no armor. And an LG like that, your days are numbered.
k1llsen, oh, that's big damage from the nail gun rail to follow it up. Hell yeah. Overkill, ultimately. Didn't need to hit that many nails to finish it off with the rail, but style points, they do matter. Good LG as well, Av3k. I think this is the end. Even if Av3k now turns things around, gets an item, gets the frag. k1llsen is so fast. Slash unbeatable when it comes to raw speed. The only thing that Av3k could do is go for aggressive ghost hogs, but even then, that 45-second respawn timer just doesn't allow for him to make anything substantial happen. k1llsen will be taking map 1.
And it's unfortunate to see, really, Flea, because as we started things off, the pace was kind of in control from the side of Av3k, but the more things started to just mount up more and more, k1llsen starting to look even healthier. Av3k now, if Av3k was able to secure a frag like that earlier, who knows where things could have gone. But now it's too little too late. Yeah, I know, ketchup stating the obvious, but the reality is 30 seconds now, k1llsen, the map was his. The whole thing just belonged to him. Every item, every opportunity. The defensive rail that says, get away from me. Stay down there. This is my map.
It sure is. k1llsen looking to add perhaps one more to that tally of his. Oh, looks away just too soon. That's a rail though. Av3k, 1 point of health, and Av3k still getting himself another one on the board as we finish map 1. Map 2 coming up shortly. You lose. You lose. Yeah, heard
great.
it loud and clear. k1llsen looking, I wouldn't call it stylish with that skin on Slash, but he's looking fierce.
I like it. I like the mask, but what I don't like, and I don't think anyone likes, if they could see it, 0 heavy armors on the side of Av3k and only 4 megas. There was no chance in that entire map that Av3k was able to pick up a single one of those heavies, so it's no wonder that when those fights took place, yeah, Av3k was able to get some damage, but how do you compete when you're both light, k1llsen's k1llsen, and k1llsen has all 18 of the heavies that appeared on that map? That was absolutely brutal for Av3k. And you kind of look at that matchup on paper and you think, if Nyx does not get off to a good start, that's just kind of how things go. She's such a hard champion at this level of play because it just feels like it's so easy for things to go wrong, right? One thing goes, you try and go for a ghost walk to save your skin, that doesn't work. You've just spawned now and you've got no armor, you've got pretty much nothing to your name. You have someone who's able to just zip around the entire map the way k1llsen was able to. How do you even begin to come back from that when things are going that badly? But you know what? It's only one map. There's 2 more left to go. So you said it yourself. You don't really see Visor picks on Corrupted Keep. We have seen it in the past, but is it going to give that utility? Hopefully, that Av3k will need to get that extra little bit of information, perhaps. I don't know. But what I am eyeing up is information's one thing. Your opponent's just got an orb, man. And it's k1llsen who's not afraid to use it. So we shall see how that goes in the end.
I mean, this is the part of the series where Av3k is switching it up to be unorthodox, right? Mentioned it before we started. He commented on this himself. He's playing to be unpredictable, especially on map 2 and map 3. So Visor being played on Corrupted Keep, it can work. We've seen it happen before, right? We've seen some plays from Cooler, for example, way back in the day, used it very effectively. But the biggest downside is that Corrupted Keep is already a pretty small map. And that makes it more difficult to get the most utility out of that ability because, one, top level players will always, or should at least always, have a pretty solid idea of where their opponent is at on a map that small. And two, if you use that piercing sight ability, the noise, the ability activation noise, is almost certainly going to be picked up by your opponent. So Av3k, he's got to find the right opportunities to use it, perhaps just before a fight starts, before he jumps into a room, or before his opponent jumps into the room with him. I think that those are the kind of plays that he can make some utility happen. But on the other hand, Ranger, right? He's a danger on this map. That orb, so powerful, both to reposition. You can very easily make your way from one major item almost on top of the other one with it, but then also the burst damage potential is huge. So I'm a little worried for Av3k, but let's see if he can be as unpredictable as he's hoping to be.
Two of the more important weapons on this map just so happen to be two weapons that go hand in hand with the Dire Orb, the rocket launcher and the super shotgun. And k1llsen's going to know that better than anybody. So we'll find out how things begin. Av3k starting things off, already trying to play that sort of defensive ranged game. And the tri-bolt, wow, that tri-bolt, 70 and then 80, just like that. The heavy already being taken, right? So that's now going to be in the possession here. Av3k looking nice and strong, and k1llsen forced to be very, very careful. That is going to mean that Av3k's in prime position to take this mega, and k1llsen's not even going to contest for it. So Av3k wants that information first. I'm going to take the mega knowing it's free, and then I'm going to see, right, what you're doing. You're going for the heavy? Wonderful. Now I have timing on that as well. If this fight goes my way, which it could do, keeping a lot of ranged respect here, I think, Flea. We know what's lined up there for k1llsen. Oh dear! And he uses the orb too! That's huge for Av3k. What a start.
Absolutely. I think k1llsen was worried that he was going to go ring out, so he tried to use the orb to keep himself within bounds, but it was over and done to begin with. And that's big for Av3k, because now 25 seconds make that 15 after some hourglasses. k1llsen without that prime ability of his. And that was brilliant from Av3k. Just a positional play, waiting, baiting out with that armor in between the both of them, kind of going, hey, you want this, I want it too, I'm gonna wait until I take a bit of damage. Oh, Av3k! Wow! Blindsided completely! k1llsen! k1llsen just slow walked all the way from Mega, underneath Av3k, onto the bounce pad, and then ended up right behind him. The Polish Prince completely caught by surprise.
You know, I was actually just about to say that, because we were watching that through Av3k's point of view, and I'm like, man, I haven't seen k1llsen's outline in quite a while. And unfortunately, we were sitting here talking about how wonderful that first play was, that first fight, the positioning. Really, all that doesn't mean much anymore, as k1llsen, in much faster fashion, been able to secure 2 frags here. And that's just the testament of a player of this caliber. Yeah, something didn't go my way, but there's plenty more time on this map where that came from. That's one of many potential situations that I can come out on top. Av3k forced to get a little bit more rocket ammo. Did run out, so wasn't able to get any as we move towards this heavy. k1llsen, though, really trying to stand his ground, but he's taking so much damage, returning enough to force Av3k to retreat, but he's only able to retreat towards a few of these lights. The question is, k1llsen, how do you recover? Looking for an opening rocket. That rocket doing nothing means it's time to go. We are not going to have damage here to fight and compete with this, and I don't even think k1llsen's going to be able to hang around towards this heavy.
Av3k, very clever, just to back up, keep his distance, whittle his opponent's stag down by using the heavy machine gun. But now, can he actually convert it into something more? He knows exactly where k1llsen is at, doesn't have his ability, neither does k1llsen. LG on LG, and k1llsen drops. Good LG from both these players. Oh, this is nice for Av3k. Gets his opponent off the spawn. Secures the frag, the mega. Now it's a race for heavy. k1llsen does have the orb. Falls a little short with it, actually. That could have still been a frag for Av3k. k1llsen kind of fumbled the orb, and there we go, Av3k. That's that Av3k aggression coming out, just rushing down the item with nothing but the standard machine gun.
And that was just good understanding of your opponent's situation. Lovely predictive rocket there. We'll take that 85 happily. And just being able to push in aggressive, as you said yourself, you know, Av3k. Oh dear, this is a scary fight! And with 1 shot left to go, I mean, it's no wonder both players committed. Absolute balls of steel, but not able to push towards that heavy. Does actually manage to get the light armor just in time. But that armor is going to be matched by k1llsen's heavy. And with an aggressive super shotgun, can k1llsen make the push that he needs? Oh, Av3k! Av3k knows he's going to get chased and places a perfect rocket on prediction. Even better, preventing k1llsen from taking those lights, which keeps Av3k in this fight and then some. The light armor at the bottom as well. That was such a money maker of a rocket right there, Flea.
Indeed it was. Now let's see if k1llsen can regain his composure. Some of these last kills have definitely gotten to him, going by his reaction on the player cam. But that was a big rocket from above. Av3k knows he can't show his face on Heavy just yet. Needs some more resources. His stack waning. There we go. k1llsen jumping back in. Av3k perhaps a little bit too predictable, making a move back onto that health bubble. Mega is up. k1llsen going for the bait. Love to see it. He just jumped straight up in place without moving forward at all. Just to play the jump sound, kind of try and trick Av3k into thinking that he's dropping onto the item. In reality, he's just waiting around the corner, gets himself a frag, and now it's just a 2-point game.
It is moments like that, Flea, that will just bring you one step closer. And in this case, k1llsen and the aggressive push on that LG is going to do just that and then some. Only one more to go, and this LG combined with the orb. Oh, that'd be sick.
All tied up, 6-6. Heavy up in just 5 seconds. k1llsen first on the ground. Av3k doesn't exactly have much to work with. No. Very ballsy, just pushing in with the tribal.
I just checked his screen. Yeah, he only had a tribal. He picked up the super shotgun a little bit later. That was a brave and bold brawled. That's not a word. I love being rusty. Anyway, 6 apiece, 6 minutes on the clock. k1llsen looking the healthiest so far. And as we look into that next set of items, k1llsen just for good measure taking that light armor, and now heavy armor is going to be that next objective, doing the right thing, pushing out first. One of those classic tales, I know this item is mine, so why would I take it straight away? Why would I not try and get some extra damage first and just create that divide even more so? And that push comes out. Doesn't get as much damage as he wanted, did k1llsen, with that orb. That rocket nearly hitting its mark, but not quite. Av3k, at death's door, was able to keep himself much more alive than most, and actually turns it around. Look at k1llsen's reaction as well. Cannot believe what just happened there.
Just 3 points of health is all what Av3k was left with after that engagement. And now we're just trading some frags back and forth. This is good for k1llsen. Av3k doesn't have a lot to work with. But that heavy machine gun, though, gonna help out tremendously. Mega about to spawn. Av3k doesn't have rocket yet. He only just spawned. Can't get that splash damage in from above, and that's exactly why he left. He wants to deny access to the heavy, but that orb's so versatile, and k1llsen just bullies his way on top of the item.
That was really well played. I'm fairly certain k1llsen was close enough that he could hear Visor. I know you mentioned that at the start. It's a small map, so it's likely that you're going to hear him pop it. k1llsen just trying to be careful, does the right thing, doesn't want to take any risks, throws out that orb, and puts it in such a position that he's still well protected, even though he's orbing right into the opponent. So really smart stuff. The battle of the shotgun! Are we watching Quake Champions or Doom 2? Are we just looking at that absolute duel of the strongest weapon? Pushing this one out now. k1llsen taking tons of damage, doesn't manage to get enough with the orb either. Av3k still in this fight, only needs 2 frags. And this is more of that aggressive, corrupted keep that we're familiar with. Unfortunately, though, that is not a fight you want. No super shotgun, no good.
So clever from k1llsen. Av3k was just expecting him to, you know, just keep his momentum, just jump straight across, go for maybe the rockets, the LG. But no, k1llsen just stopped and waited. And then Av3k comes around the corner with that plasma, which is so powerful, but also very inconsistent. And he makes it work with the super shotgun instead. Still, 2 frag game. A minute and a half left to go. Mega up in just 5 seconds. Av3k's got the high ground. k1llsen goes through the teleporter. Heavy machine gun damage being exchanged. k1llsen makes a push for it. Yeah, that was really clever by k1llsen, because he knew that he had the position to drop down on Mega. If he ended up taking too much damage, kind of like he did, he could just walk clean over the edge, pick up Mega. And that's trading stacks, while Av3k doesn't have anything to fall back on.
A lot of
Does get heavy,
calculated
though.
plays so far. Avek on that last rotation of items, you know, just popping that piercing sight to cover his bases, make sure that k1llsen doesn't take him by surprise. Had the high ground at the time. Avek now licking his wounds and just bringing himself back up here. Only one frag separates the two. And now, Mega, this could be the fight that determines how things go. This could be the moment. This fight doesn't conclude just yet, but still, the 1 minute warning is long over. And with there being one frag between them, that's a really important piercing sight. Does understand now that k1llsen's going towards LG, but without the stack, that is not a fight that Avek is willing to take. In this case, now we push. That rocket is huge! k1llsen, does he go for the drop down? Does he retreat? No, he's trying to play safe. What a smart play. I'm the one in control. I'm the one in the lead. I'm going to retreat now, play a defensive rocket, and make that chase so much harder. Tries to reposition, maybe gets damaged. Doesn't, though. And that gives Avek an in. 10 seconds to go, but we may as well be in sudden death right here, right now. That piercing sight, once again, gives Avek a safe advance. k1llsen having to drop down. Cannot take any risks here. And all right, Efley. The sudden death, first one of the day.
k1llsen, I believe, doesn't have LG yet. Avek should be aware of this too. Knows that he can take and dominate those mid-range fights. He knows exactly where k1llsen is too. Down near Banana, trying to set a bit of a trap. Casually walking past the rockets, making sure not to pick him up to avoid the sound cue. And k1llsen doesn't have any armor to work with. I like what Avek did right there. Doesn't want to go all in on that one fight. Knows that he's got the better positioning. Knows that he can make a move for one of the major items and then go for heavy as well. And now k1llsen is in such deep trouble.
You almost wonder if k1llsen sort of second-guessed that orb right there. Yeah, you would have been able to take it up, but where do you go from there? You know that Avek is so stacked. You know that Avek has everything that he needs to finish this. k1llsen playing the safe option. Could have been a bait. You know, could have been some sort of bait, by all means, but many possibilities in that kind of play. And the control still belonging to Avek. k1llsen knows if I just get some opening damage, that's why the tri-bolt is coming out to play. If I can just whittle down this stack, and then eventually when that fight breaks out, all I need is that combo. That high damage, the orb, the fake rocket perhaps there from Avek. Either that or he's just trying to cover every base imaginable. The scary thing is, though, he is running out of rockets. He's not going to be able to take these. He's going to have to retreat down into the armor room if that's what he wants. However, the rocket, the chip damage being peppered away. Wait a minute. And he steals the health. Oh! k1llsen steals the health. What a risky decision that was. But oh my lord, how it paid off. That is why k1llsen is one of a kind. That's ridiculous.
That was so close. Avek just pushes through the choke point and then rocket, orb, rocket, and that's it. That's what you can do when you're Ranger. God damn, Avek. That was a beautiful game from both of these players. I loved how Avek played that out of control game in the final few minutes, slowly made his way back into it, and then you had k1llsen. Those rockets were his saving grace. So many defensive rockets. I think he hit like, what, 3 directs? Kind of almost blindly fired at the exit of the teleporter and the doorway, and Avek just was unable to continue, easily continuing rather that rotation of his on the major items. Damn, that was sick.
That final sequence was just delicious on so many levels. Both players were just playing it so well, and even right at the end, you know, you want to sit near this room knowing you have stuff to fall back on. I think I'm going to just orb in there and take it from you, and then what are you going to do? That was the kind of play that could have just gone so horribly wrong. And if you lose that way, you're just sitting there thinking, why on earth did I do that? Thankfully for k1llsen, though, this is not one of those times. That was a wonderful end to what was a thoroughly exciting map. And it's not the last one of this series, but definitely my favorite map of the day so far.
Absolutely. That was a highlight already. And I must say, I feel like overall, yes, the utility that Ranger gave with the orb was greater than Visor with the piercing sight, right? I think we're gonna have to be honest about that. But still, there were a lot of situations where I felt Avek used his ability very creatively and bought himself quite a bit of leeway. Using it just when he wasn't quite sure where k1llsen was at, using it just before he makes a play on one of the major items. He used that ability. I think about this effectively as you can use the piercing sight on a map that small.
Oh, I agree without question. I was going to say something very similar, to be honest, is that it's not the kind of common pick that you see, but I cannot imagine I cannot imagine a map where he was able to put it to better use. You know, that was a thoroughly impressive showing from Av3k, and it could have just as easily gone his side. You know, it's 12 to 11 right there. It was as down to the wire as it gets. It was sudden death in the first place. Both players had to claw themselves back from really horrible situations, which just ultimately led to the best fight of the map. And, you know, go figure, it was the final fight. But we're now going into our final map here between the two of them. This is where k1llsen was removed. k1llsen's now got the Galena, so normally sometimes you would sort of see a battle of utility here. It would be, I've got health, but you've got damage and you've got denial, etc, etc. This was that final piece of, I guess, keeping things a bit spicy for Av3k. It's going to be Sorlag here, as you said, not really something that he's known for on this map. And just to reiterate, just on the off chance that some people have joined maybe a bit late or something like that, Av3k had quite clearly stated in some previous content that his goal here was to be unpredictable and to go with some against the grain champions, maybe not necessarily for meta, but for him. And I think that's one really important thing to factor in here, is that these two players and everyone in the Pro League, they've played each other for so long, for at this point now so many years. For most of them, you know your opponent inside and out. You know, the game is one thing, the player versus player component is a totally new beast, right? So when that level of comfort is here, and you said, right, they've played 8 times in Pro League for k1llsen to win every single time. This is where, bro, we've got to try something else. We've got to try something we've never tried before, and if that's going to get us at least a map here, so be it. It was so close to being 1-1. I mean, this could have been the decider. So I got to say, Av3k has still been given it that A game and then some. But is this map going to be the final one for a 3-0 or a 2-1?
I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but Av3k pretty much literally said that, hey, if you would have told me that I was going to be running Sorlag on Ruins against k1llsen, I would have called you crazy. And yeah, here we are. Here we are. So let's see what he can do with the Lizards. He's got the stack advantage, he's got the mobility advantage, but k1llsen, of course, has those totems to fall back on. They can deal damage when your opponent runs into them, and they can heal you up too. And if he gets 3 of them up at the same time, he can get that overstart heal from it as well. Basically a mega to carry around.
That's cheap. And we're going into a slow play again here, Flea. I'm watching, well, I say I'm watching, we're all watching this through k1llsen's point of view so far. With the rail locked in. Plenty of LG ammo too. With the totem being removed here, it's fairly obvious what's going on. Av3k, we're going to just trade one item for another, but the thing that always scares me in this kind of matchup when one person has a heavy champion and they don't have armor, they are easier to hit considerably. Even Sorlag with the speed. So I look at 100 LG ammo here for k1llsen and I see Sorlag with no armor and I'm like, eek, that's a scary time.
Sure is. Sorlag may be mobile, but she's still a heavy champion. Larger hitbox. Pretty easy to hit. LG comes out, there we go. Nearly melting Av3k's entire stack. Luckily for him, he's got the mega to fall back on. k1llsen instead contenting himself with heavy. Nice rocket from Av3k. Good read. Didn't quite get the damage he was hoping for, but still a little bit of chip. And now k1llsen knows that the stack advantage is severe.
Now, I mean, I've used excuse me, I've used that word confidence quite a lot today, and we saw quite a lot of that from k1llsen in that fight. Av3k peppering out, excuse me, frog in my throat apparently, peppering out rockets and even the acid spit, and k1llsen just standing there, happy to take it. You know you've got the, that's one of the things that makes Galena so powerful against champions that have tick damage abilities. How do you stop yourself from getting ticked down? You just pick up health. What does Galena have? Health on tap. So you can take those fights a lot more confidently than you otherwise would. However, Av3k, oh, gets him just in time, k1llsen. Definitely, I think Flea looking to try and trade that, but no such luck.
Sliver of health remaining for the Polish player. Oh, Av3k. I don't know what was up with that. He could have just kept going and picked up Mega, but instead he turned around. He must have thought he had a good read on where k1llsen was at. Spammed a few rockets to teleport her exit, but no, k1llsen was already there. Oh, big rocket! k1llsen. Ruthless.
Oh, you ever sit at that angle expecting a rail and you just eat a direct rocket instead? Ouch, ouch, ouch. And that has resulted in, oh, doesn't quite get the 2-piece combo. But it does finish the job anyway. That's now 5-1. k1llsen looking so devastatingly strong here, and Av3k just unable to make things work. I mean, we haven't had much of this map, but k1llsen's already been just hitting these unbelievable sequences. And Av3k, you're fighting someone who not only has the advantage, right? They've got control of the map. They've got all the items. You do damage, and they still have a totem on tap. This is a very scary situation to be in, because you already know I've got to do so much work to even get a single frag here. All the while you're hitting this damage against me. All the while I'm a bigger champion than you. Yes, I have the armor. Is that going to be enough? No, another rocket k1llsen. That's now at least 2 that have just stolen things away. Av3k, there's got to be surely an element of frustration here. These rockets are ridiculous, Flea.
Also, shout out to k1llsen's movement right there. The pathing, dropping down the stairs and jumping into that room. That was so clean. I don't think you could have put a hair in between him and the wall, Ketchup. That was just absolutely brilliant.
Oh my god.
And yeah, what do you do when you're Av3k now, right? Every single bit of damage, or every single bit of significant damage that you make happen on your opponent seems like an opportunity, but k1llsen's defensive play is sublime. Av3k, wrong weapon in hand, lands a rail at least.
But where does he go from here, Flea? He is not in a good position. And everywhere he goes, noise is made. And if you stop making noise, it's obvious. You've gone far enough away that you're not making any noise. You can only be one place, mate. And I'm just going to go there and see you straight away. 8-1 with 5 minutes to go. This is rough for Av3k, who is now piling himself in. Strong arm. Does manage to secure a frag, but how much damage did he have to take in the process? We look at these items. It's not like Av3k can get a frag and just drop down and take one of them. We've still got a good 15 seconds until the first one appears. It's not the grounds for a comeback that you really want in this situation, and especially with Av3k just getting no damage in that fight, Flea. That was the worst it could have gone.
Absolutely, k1llsen, brilliant with the LG. You can see that this is part of his battle plan. If I'm looking at the damage right now, k1llsen has done half of all his damage with just the lightning gun alone. That's nuts. Whereas if you look at Av3k, Av3k's primarily going with the rockets, but it's just not really working out for him. That was such an awkward fight. k1llsen standing on top of that arch, and then...
It was gorgeous, gorgeous positioning, because you're forcing someone to hit vertical rockets. He already knows that Av3k has been favoring the rocket launcher here. He's forcing you to take really hard shots if you want to get any damage. All the while, he's peppering it down directly on top of you. Oh, and even that rocket. How did that manage to do 85? Oh, you picked up a Mega 2. Unfortunate for you. This has got to be a wrap, Flea. There has to be. I just can't see things magically changing. Not with how k1llsen's playing this.
No.
Oh.
I mean, it's everything. k1llsen hitting 10 rails, Av3k hitting 2. k1llsen, 1500 damage with DLG, Av3k, 500, right? Overall damage, k1llsen, 3.3k, Av3k, less than 2. And then the item control as well, favoring k1llsen, significantly too. Av3k just got outclassed on this one.
It is unfortunate to see. I think the star of this show was definitely that corrupted keep so far, but we just haven't seen anywhere near the same level of precision almost. Even early on, when there was time to spare, we would be seeing Av3k try to take the opportunity to be aggressive, but it just felt like before this map even began that k1llsen knew that was how things were going to go. This defensive play has been sublime. Getting that control early on too really helps that. You can cement yourself early on. With those extra minutes, you've got the lead. You're just buying time that's on your side. And we got to give shout-outs to that rocket placement. Some of the rockets that k1llsen's been hitting here on Av3k have just been unbelievably silly. And unfortunately, though, that totem was not what you wanted. I think we even saw that chuckle there from k1llsen, more of a oopsie.
But at this point, doesn't really matter, does it?
Nah.
k1llsen's got this in the bag. Av3k, yeah, he's gonna get a frag.
Wait, he didn't need to shoot him there. That was so rude. That was
slap on
k1llsen
the
sending.
behind.
No, that really was. That was a little tap there saying, "Hello, you missed me." He could have just as
Oh,
easily
wow.
run off there.
And that rail from k1llsen, I was still on his point of view. There was barely a pixel left of Av3k, and still he connected. Sword like tail just sticking out. That's all that k1llsen needed. Land even more damage.
It is that classic situation now. Frags aren't the goal. Keeping your opponent behind is. If I can keep hitting these rails and force you to retreat and pick up health and do this and that, it's going to take time. And time is something I'm happy to play around. We're going to go right now into that 1 minute warning. It is going to be a GG's. I mean, it's done. And as you can already see here, yeah, Av3k coming out with the GG's because there is nothing that can be done. k1llsen's going to be feeling quite good about that, I think, especially off the back of that second map, which was so close to going either way. k1llsen going to be walking away with a 3-0, feeling confident, I would say, because this is always a hard matchup. You're going up against Av3k, you know it's going to be a challenge, but k1llsen, as always, able to bring that absolute championship form, and it's something that has been synonymous with k1llsen for the entirety of the Pro League, you could say. It's just the consistency of excellence.
k1llsen adding as a 9th victory against Av3k on the board, and he's going to be happy about this one. Because if we just look at the start to his season catch-up, first he beats Razy, who came in 2nd at the Quake World Championships. Now he just beat Av3k, who came in 3rd in the overall standings of the previous season, right? So those are 2 big names that k1llsen has already disposed of this early on in the season. Last time around, we saw him lose just once, and that was against Wenger, and now he's poised to do it again.
Yeah, I definitely have to be careful about how I word this, because I certainly don't consider any opponent you can encounter in the Pro League as an easier matchup, because everyone's here for a reason. But if you're in k1llsen's shoes and you've been kind of thrown immediately into these real money-making matches, you know what I mean? Like these are the matches that matter the most for a lot of people, because it's the caliber of the opponent, the history that you have with certain players. And if you have players that you're worried about or could be worried about, you know, I'm certainly not speaking on behalf of k1llsen, these are the matches you want to get out of the way early. Because if you're confident about some players but maybe nervous of others, and you've already covered a couple of them, this is a great start for you, and theoretically only up from here. But on the other end of that, Av3k, I gotta give shout-outs though for the approach, and especially that second map. Like that second map could have absolutely turned the tide on how we would have seen things unfold in map 3. You know, was there an element of maybe being a bit demoralized? I don't know. It seemed unusually overly aggressive almost from Av3k, even at an early stage of Ruins, where it's like you've got time to work with, and k1llsen's happy to just sit around this corner. He knows you're coming. He's going to hit rockets, even down near heavy. You know, there's an element of, yeah, I want to push here and stop you from taking this item, but if you're waiting for it, you have the advantage. And it just seemed almost uncharacteristic aggression from Av3k, which is weird to say because it's Av3k, but still, I hope I'm making sense here.
You made sense to me. You made sense to me. I knew what you were getting
Sorry, Stream.
at.
You're out of luck.
Yeah, no, but that's an excellent second series of the day. Av3k, I really liked this plan, right? Change things up, be unpredictable, be unorthodox with the picks on map 2 and 3. Damn near worked out on map 2. Yeah. Rocket just a tiny bit more towards the right. Could have changed everything, right? It was either player's game when it went down that final confrontation in the red room, but ultimately still 3-0 for k1llsen. The reigning champ continues his reign of terror.
Well, enough of that from this point, because we've got lots more matches to pile through today. Up next, it's going to be none other than Nosva versus Sirius, which is, I mean, look, I'm excited for all these matches, right? I want to see how people are looking. I want to see how people are shaping up. And in about 7 minutes or so, we'll be back to see things unfold. So thanks for joining us so far. Pro League continues after this break.
Good stuff.
Yes. Oh,
What did you say? I didn't hear what he said.